Hello, everyone, and welcome to our online class this week. We're going to be talking about religion, and then in a separate mini lecture that I post, we'll be talking about aesthetics, in our case, art and music in different cultures. Just before we start, because religion tends to be a sensitive subject, I always start this particular lecture with a few points. In anthropology, we're not concerned with the truth or falsity of any particular religion. We don't look at that. We look at other things, which I'll get into in a minute. So when we're discussing this in your assignments, if you have questions, you really should feel comfortable asking them, either via email or next week in class. But what we don't want is intolerant opinions about any thing in this class with culture, but I like to especially point this out with religion. So, don't make any ethnocentric comments or assumptions about religions. They are very varied. As you can see on the slide, religion is a cultural universal, but like with many cultural universals, beliefs and practices vary widely within each culture and between each culture. Religion is learned through enculturation. So again, that means as you are enculturated into a culture, as you grow up and learn your role and your place in society, you also learn those things about your religion. Anthropologists, again, not concerned with the truth or falsity of any particular religion. All for sort of our purposes, we could discuss anthropology studying religion as all religions are equally valid. Anthropologists do study what is the function of a religion in any society or in a particular society, how religions interrelate with other aspects of society. So what's the interplay between religion and politics or social organization? We also look at myths, symbols, and rituals. Myths are assumed knowledge of the universe, natural and supernatural worlds, and humanity's place in the world. Myths contain information about the world and why we're here. All cultures have myths to tell us this information. About myths, anthropologists ask why certain myths are part of certain societies, how myths interrelate with other aspects of societies, what are myths' functions, how are they interpreted by different people in a society. So religion and myths, much like all of the other aspects we've talked about in society, up to this point, are interpreted differently by different people. So we'll be looking at that as anthropologists. And also we look at our myths' distortions of historical events. Did perhaps things that myths are talking about actually happen, and these are just ways that humans understand them, but they're distorted from the way they actually happened? This link, and many of the other links here, you should take a minute and watch on your own. This particular one is a cute little animation about the myth of Prometheus. And while you're watching it, think about these questions that anthropologists ask and see what you can tell about Greek society from this myth. Rituals are repetitive behaviors that communicate sacred symbols to members of society. Some rituals that you may be familiar with would be some sort of weekly service that is particular to a religion. Also home rituals, perhaps sweat lodge rites, meditation, things like that. They're repetitive and they communicate sacred symbols to society. Rituals are received in unique and personal ways by the individual. Harvey Whitehouse, he discusses rituals in two sort of types. There's the doctrinal mode and the imagistic mode. The doctrinal mode is the formal written or oral tradition. So you go to a service, you say certain words, you do certain actions. And the imagistic mode is the emotional aspect of a ritual. It's the intense personal experience an individual has with his or her religion. Imagistic mode can happen during a doctrinal experience or some other type of experience. And specifically, anthropologists look at rites of passage, which are rituals associated with the life cycle. So things that this might be would be confirmation, baptism, b'nai mitzvot, weddings, funerals. So these rituals tend to remove people from their old position in society, take them through a period of separation, and move them back into the society at the level of their new role that they have taken in society. Some secular versions of this might be a college or a university graduation. Religious specialists. So these are religious practitioners. Shamans are part-time religious practitioners. And it's worth pointing out that I'm using the terms that anthropologists use. So if your religion has either one of these, you might use a different term, but these are the sort of catch-all terms that anthropologists use. So the term shaman is from the Evenk of North Asia, but we use it to talk about all part-time religious practitioners. So these are people that are also doing other things, typically subsistence activities. So you'll find these in bands, tribes, and chiefdoms. And then priests and priestesses are full-time religious practitioners. There's typically a formal type of schooling involved in becoming a priest or a priestess, and they're not doing anything else aside from being sort of the custodian of sacred knowledge for this society. And you find these in agricultural states and industrial and post-industrial states religions. Totemism is another type of religious belief, or is a type of religious belief, that symbolically and spiritually connects a particular group of people with a totemic ancestor. And a totem or a totemic ancestor is a mythical ancestor, often animals, but sometimes other natural features or people. We talked before about lineages and clans typically having the people that are members of them related to each other through an unknown or mythical ancestor. That mythical ancestor can be a totem if the clan follows totemism. Stories about these ancestors lay out a format for proper behavior. So that essentially means that they're like fables. Stories about these ancestors will indicate to the people in the society what is right and wrong. Anthropomorphism is the assigning of human agency to non-human objects. This happens to go hand in hand with totemism often, but it happens in most, if not all, societies. The sort of official definition of anthropomorphism is the psychological distortion to project and perceive human characteristics in non-human phenomena. The examples that I have here are the white rabbit from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, or Alice stories in general. And as you can see, he's a rabbit, but, you know, he talks, he wears clothing, he can tell time. If you'll remember from the story, he's late. So he is acting very much like a human, but he's actually a rabbit. And then down under the words in the picture, we have the anthropomorphic personification of death. So not only can you do this to animals, you can also do it to other phenomena like the concept of death. So most, if not all, societies do this. You probably do it if you own pets. You'll say, oh, my dog loves me, or look at him, he's so sad. This may or may not be true, but the fact that you are assigning this to them is anthropomorphism. So getting started with forager religions. This is a part of a picture of an Inuit shaman chanting with a drum. We'll get into why this is important in a little bit. Forager religions are cosmic religions. These types of religions aren't associated with sort of historical histories about individual people. They're associated with nature. They're based on oral traditions. And they typically talk about things like the cycle of seasons, stones, water, mountains. All of these things are given sacred significance in these types of religions. Spirit and matter are considered inseparable. And they believe in what is known as animism, which is that spirits reside within all organic and inorganic objects. So humans, animals, but also water and rocks and trees and things like that. This typically yields a respectful relationship between humans and their environment because they do believe that spirits reside in all of these different elements of the environment. The dream time. The dream time is what the Australian Aborigines believe in. The dream time itself exists in the other world, the world of creation, where a person can visit in dreams, visions, and then goes there in death. At the time of creation, the ancestors put the souls of all living forms near watering holes, and over time, these spirits were embedded in all matter. The birth of the universe is considered to be a fall from dream time. They have symbolic representations of their ancestral beings, that's totemism, and their totemic ancestors still exist in the dream time. So it might be kangaroo or wallaby or native plants, and those symbolize their ancestral beings. They still exist in dream time, and when people visit there in dreams or visions or death, their ancestral beings will act as go-betweens. They can also intervene and control aspects of the natural world. And this explains the joy, pain, chaos, and order in human life. And again, stories about their ancestral beings in the past lay out the format for a moral life in the present, moral behavior. The Inuit religion, every living creature possesses a soul, according to the Inuit. The souls of animals are reincarnated after death, and the deceased souls of humans remain close to the living. There's no place they congregate after death. Shamans, they are either hereditary or more commonly through direct contact with the supernatural, usually through dreams or visions. They're trained to cure illness, resolve emotional problems, journey to the realm of dead souls and spiritual beings to change the weather, ensure prosperity. Sometimes these things actually work. People can get or feel better from psychological or physical illness or injuries because the beliefs surrounding shamanism and rituals can trigger states of mind that can help healing. Particularly because shamans do use rhythmic drumming and chanting, this can put people who have beliefs surrounding these things and about illness and things like that, people who are used to these techniques being used, it can put them in an altered state of consciousness that will help cure or make them feel better. See you in part 2 of this lecture.